Hi, what's up, everyone? My name is Chad Hahn. I am the beat writer for the Miami Dolphins for blitzalytics.com. I've been writing articles for them for a little while now, and now I've kind of taken it to another level. Now I'm going to start posting videos as well to cover the Miami Dolphins. Now, first thing I want to go over, really the main thing, is the state of the franchise and where they are heading in to the draft in just a few days. Lots of things to cover in a short period of time, guys. Um, I've been doing this for a little while with the team. So let's go over a couple of things. So the first thing, where are we at? I want to first cover where we really are as an organization heading into this draft, depth chart wise. So the very first thing when I look at is obviously the biggest elephant in the room, quarterback. So looking at that, obviously Ryan Fitzpatrick did a fantastic job last year. Obviously Josh Rosen, Flores and Greer, they did a great job of building this roster pretty quick and through free agency. Um, but obviously we have a void at quarterback. So that's something that we have to address for sure. There could be the answer already in the building, which I'll go into a little bit later as well. But obviously, right now, our depth chart reads Ryan Fitzpatrick as the starter and Josh Rosen as the backup. Going to running back, obviously, free agent pickup, Jordan Howard, very, very under the radar, nice pickup. Little, I didn't even know when I saw this stat, which is very intriguing. He's actually third in the National Football League since he's been drafted in 2016 in rushing yards. So that's pretty impressive. Obviously, he's very young. Still got a lot of mileage left. Looking forward to that. It was a nice 2-year, $10 million deal. Very nice job there by the Dolphins front office. Second, I have actually Patrick Laird at the moment. He came on, undrafted rookie free agent, did really well throughout the season as much as you could. Obviously, with the talent that was on the field last year. After that, I have Myles Gaskin. Myles Gaskin was a seventh round rookie last year. Um, has some decent upside, has some decent wiggle. Saw some things I like from him. And honestly, I put Kalen Balaj as fourth right now. So you have some reasons why. Obviously, he didn't do so well after a promising start a couple years ago. Last year, he really took a huge step back. Um, he has really something to prove. I have a feeling the Dolphins will be drafting a running back in a few days in the draft, and that could definitely spell the end to Kalen Balaj's career in Miami. Fullback, seventh round rookie last year, Chandler Cox out of Auburn. I think he's pretty solid, still learning. He's newer. Wide receiver is interesting. Devontae Parker had a breakout season last year because of Ryan Fitzpatrick. He really did fantastic coming on, even against like Stephon Gilmore against the Patriots, Week 17, fantastic. I think second out right now, the depth chart, as long as he gets healthy, I say the undrafted rookie from last year, Preston Williams. He really did well before getting that season-ending injury. There's definitely some room for upgrade with that starting wide receiver position, just because you just don't know what you're really going to get from Preston Williams quite yet. You see the promise. We just don't know if everything's going to come together. Right now, at the moment, we have Albert Wilson along with Alan Hearns. Albert Wilson can go either way. I mean, we can cut him and save a bunch of money, or we can kind of restructure it or keep him the way it is. It's interesting. I think obviously the guy has talent. He was recovering from that hip surgery, and we'll see where that goes. But there's some room there. Obviously, we also have like Isaiah Ford, that came on kind of strong towards the end of the year. I think he has some potential. They also claimed Greg Jennings from Seattle towards the end of last year. Mac Hollins from the Eagles. Decent depth. I still think lacking one more like star power, and I'll get into that a little bit later. Next step, tight end. Obviously, Mike Gesicki also enjoyed a nice breakout season as well under Ryan Fitzpatrick towards the latter part of the season. He's definitely tied in number one for Miami at the moment. Number two is Durham Smythe, and then Michael Roberts right now. We signed them a little while ago to start. Right now, the biggest thing on the offensive side of the football is the offensive line. Offensive line right now is definitely a point of emphasis right now. It has to be. It just has to be. It's been a thorn in the Dolphins' side for a very long time. Right now, as we stand, the starting left tackle is Julian Davenport, part of the trade with Houston, with Laramie Tunsil. Left guard right now is free agent pickup Eric Flowers. It's kind of risky. I mean, he didn't do very well his first few years, but last year when he switched to guard, he did play very well, especially towards the latter part of the season. They obviously expect him to do big things, signing that 3-year, $30 million contract. So he's projected as the left guard. Starting center from the Patriots, we signed Ted Karras, 1-year, $4 million deal. I think it's more of a prove-it deal, not as much as drafting one and go behind. I think it's a prove-it deal, sort of similar to what they did with Eric Rowe last season, and he performed well, and they extended him for 3 years, $18 million. Now, right guard is interesting. Right now, it seems like before the draft, at least, they would be moving a third-round rookie from last year, Michael Dieter from Wisconsin, from left guard to right guard to start at the moment, and then keeping Jesse Davis at right tackle. Now, I've been watching this team for many, many years. One thing that I always see is who plays better in what positions. And I think it was apparent to me that Jesse Davis played a lot better at right guard than right tackle. And with the addition of Flowers and Karras, I personally feel like Miami should attack 2 tackles in this draft and swing Jesse Davis to right guard and have a competition with Michael Dieter, and it also provides interior depth for everything on that. But at the moment, it's Davenport, Flowers, Karras, Dieter, and Davis. Not the best. Definitely needs at least 1 tackle and some depth. If I was running Miami right now, we would definitely get 2 tackles. No doubt about it, and higher-end tackles at that. We'll go over those options. That kind of wraps up the offense. Now, going to the defensive side of the football. Some really good free agent acquisitions. Honestly, they did a lot of good things. Obviously, starting with last year's first-round rookie, Christian Wilkins, did pretty well. He's in a position where he's not going to be stellar. He's still growing, maturing. I still think he has a very, very high potential as last year's first-round pick. Now, we also have Davin Godchaux on that line. 2 huge additions because it creates flexibility for Miami. On that defensive line is Shaq Lawson and Emmanuel Ogbah. Those are huge. And why I say that is they're not more of a stand-up type edge rusher. They are more of a hands in the dirt, both defend the run and the pass. They're pretty well balanced, which meaning depending on a 3-man front or a 4-man front, they can be a defensive end on both. Even if it's a straight rush package, they might be able to swing Ogbah inside. Shaq Lawson was one of the best run defenders at defensive end in the entire league last year. So I think between Lawson, Ogbah, Godchaux, and Wilkins is pretty nice. And they all, we also have Zach Seiler, who we signed from the Ravens practice squad towards the latter part of last year, and he did pretty well in a short period of time. Where I feel like if he continues that pace, he'd probably back up Christian Wilkins. One big thing I do see is they do need a nose tackle for sure for run stopping purposes. So either most likely via the draft. Now, as far as the linebacking crew is concerned, especially I'm going to base it off of 4 linebackers, 2 edge rushers, and 2 middle linebackers or Mike linebackers running around. Obviously, huge pickup in the offseason. Kyle Van Noy obviously knows Brian Flores' system from New England. I think that's a perfect fit. Leader, definitely continuing the culture feel of what Brian Flores is bringing to Miami. I feel that's a fantastic addition. Fantastic. Now, going on behind him, actually, let's go there. Behind Van Noy, I see Taco Charlton right now as the backup there. The two middle linebackers says obviously I'm looking at Jerome Baker, the captain from last year. Very energetic, good middle linebacker. He'll continue to grow in the system now that he'll have a little bit more around him. Raekwon McMillan, more of a run stopping linebacker. They also signed a couple linebackers to fill those voids as well in free agency, with Roberts from the Patriots and Gruber Hill from the Eagles, special team captain as well. They can play that position pretty well. As much as everyone talks about edge linebacking, the Dolphins need it. There's a couple studs out there that we actually have on the roster where the need isn't as great as what people think now that they actually signed Kyle Van Noy. On the other side, Vince Beagle played extremely well all year, played hard, and a guy that came out fifth round rookie from last year, Andrew Van Ginkel, and he missed most of the season with an injury, but he came back very strong those last couple games, created constant pressure all over the ball. I honestly feel like he will actually take that starting position, unless obviously they draft a higher round edge rusher. Then I think it'll be a complete battle. But at the moment, I actually have Andrew Van Ginkel penciled in as a starter with Vince Beagle spelling him. Moving on to the secondary. Wow. Very, very excellent. When healthy, 1-2 combination at corner. Xavier Howard had a off season last year. He didn't play that well, surroundings, injuries, things like that. But if he comes back healthy with his knee, no off the field issues, the addition of Byron Jones is huge, guys. I feel like Byron Jones' cover ability is a step higher than Xavier Howard. He might not have the playmaking ball skills, but if you look at what he did one-on-one matchups with wide receivers like DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Thomas, he pretty much shut them down. So I feel like if you can put Byron Jones on the opposition's number one wide receiver and then pulling Xavier Howard with the second wide receiver, I feel with his playmaking ability, if they go away from Byron Jones, I feel like Howard can have a real true bounce back season and really create one of the best 1-2 combinations out there. Depth-wise, at corner, Nick Needham, the undrafted rookie from last year from UTEP, did fantastic towards the end of the season. In the beginning, he was getting burnt like toast, but he keeps working on his craft. Brian Flores coaching him up. The defensive coordinator, he definitely improved a lot towards the latter part of last year. I do expect him to be in that mix. I think a big question mark is where's Tankersley at? We drafted him a few years back. They're around, he keeps getting, injured, returning. I still feel like this coaching staff can make something out of him. We'll see. Jamal Wiltz, he actually changed his name to Jamal Perry. Now, he played really well as a nickel corner. He's in the mix there as well. We don't know exactly until the draft what's going on with McCain. If he's going to go back to corner. Right now at the moment, at least he's penciled in as a starting free safety, Bobby McCain. Going to that safety position, penciled in starting free safety is Bobby McCain. Behind him right now it's Adrian Colbert and then Stephen Parker. At strong safety, you got Eric Rowe, a converted corner to strong safety, did very well towards the latter part of the year as well. Kind of found a home over there. And then they also signed Clayton Fettergem from the Bengals, another team captain, special teams, really high character culture. So, when you look at it, is safety the biggest need? It would be nice to get a playmaker back there, but McCain and Rowe are actually pretty good. They just have to stay healthy. And Colbert, I have high hopes for him. He played pretty well towards the end of last year as well. So did Parker, actually. obviously the big culture thing with Brian Flores changing the entire culture of the organization is huge. It's absolutely huge. You really can't understate that. That's a huge thing. Going on to another section here. Now, the biggest thing is where is Miami going to get a quarterback? You know, so there's a couple different things I want to talk about here. So when you talk about quarterback, that's obviously one of the most important positions on the field, if not the most important position on the field. Um, so let's tackle the first one. So Tua, everybody's talking about Tua, tank for Tua for the last year. I've never seen anybody say they're tanking for somebody and then they actually get them. Tua has a lot of skills on the field. Obviously, the durability issues are there. There's definitely an option for him if he's there at 5. If Miami is sold on Tua as the franchise quarterback, I do feel like they will move from 5 to 3 with Detroit and acquire Tua. That would be a good move. I think there's a couple of elite quarterbacks in this draft while healthy, and it would be Tua and it would be Joe Burrow. I think Tua has the leadership ability, a little bit different of a leadership ability than Joe Burrow. I feel with all the draft accumulation of draft picks that Miami's acquired over this last year with all the trades, they're well documented. I think it was to acquire a quarterback. To me, I've evaluated a lot of quarterbacks, and it's not that Joe Burrow is a one-year wonder. I feel like that, it's if he had a decent year, I can see that, right? He actually led in 2018, the year before that, little known fact, he actually led college football in the QBR as well. Burrow number 1, Tua number 2. And that was 2018. Then he blew up last year, and this wasn't just a normal year. This was the best year in college football history. He dissected, felt like top 5 teams every single week. Dissected. I remember seeing 7 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns at halftime. Like, come on, man. And this is against first-round talent he's going up against. Joe Burrow, I feel like, is above everybody in this draft at quarterback. If I'm the GM of Miami, I'm actually trading up to go get Joe Burrow, making that a statement. They got 5 first-round picks in the next 2 years. Normally, teams have 2. So, talking about packages, I would personally package is 5, 18, and Miami's next year. At that point, think of it like this. You have 2 first-round picks this year. Starting off with Burrow, you still have 2 second-round picks this year. Next year, at that point, if you do that, you still have Houston's first-round pick, which is interesting, and then 2 second-round picks as well. Interesting enough, Houston's pick, you never know how high that can be, considering that trade with DeAndre Hopkins to Arizona. I'm not going to get into that, but that was, it'll be Watson for his own pretty much to me, it feels like, and we'll see what happens with that, but that could actually wind up being a top 10 pick for Miami next year. We'll see. And at that point, if you did that for Burrow, you at least you have a franchise quarterback that's a leader, a true leader, competitive fire, accuracy. He has all of it. There's no doubt about it. Now, the other quarterbacks are interesting. Jordan Love. Now, the kid has upside. My personal evaluation when I look at Jordan Love is his natural arm talent is actually similar. This is why I would say he has the highest upside of everybody. His actually arm talent reminds me, his actual flick of the wrist, the way he does it, of Aaron Rodgers. And that's definitely a wow factor, but he's nowhere near polished like that. For him to take it to that next level, he would have to sit. He would have to sit and learn. Listen, I've been on this earth for 36 years, and I've been a Dolphins fan for 34 years in my high chair, and I will tell you, I've never seen the Dolphins really progress a quarterback like Andy Reid did with Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. So definitely, without a doubt, I would have my reservations on drafting him high in the draft just because I don't have personal confidence that we have somebody to develop the quarterback like that. He has a very high potential, but he is far off. He makes a lot of mistakes. Um, Now, as far as Justin Herbert, he's an interesting guy. I think it's pretty lazy. I've seen a lot of comparisons out there to Ryan Tannehill. That's a lazy assessment. His pocket awareness is much more than what Tannehill's was. He's bigger. He's athletic. Well, I mean, Tannehill's athletic as well, but he couldn't throw the ball like Herbert. To me, my player comp for Herbert is interesting. I feel like it's a more athletic version of a Ben Roethlisberger. Um, I feel like he can definitely be a franchise quarterback, but you got to surround him. He's not going to dominate a game. I just don't feel like he's going to absolutely take over a football game like a true franchise quarterback. But you don't necessarily need that to win the Super Bowls, which kind of brings me to the next one. And I'm probably going to get some flack for this. I definitely have before, but I'm sticking to my guns on this. Josh Rosen. So it's interesting. One thing I've seen since the Flores-Greer combination has been there is they've worked with a purpose. Everything that they've done, they've worked with a purpose. Now, and just thinking about it, do you think they would have traded, and at the same time they're acquiring picks, do you think they would have traded a second-round pick to get somebody, put them in front of the group that they had last year for 11 quarters? He was on the field for 11 quarters with teammates that were signed on Thursday and started on Sunday. Didn't really know too much. They were literally human turnstiles. Bunch of young players on the team. I mean, Preston Williams was trying to develop. He dropped a bunch of balls, including touchdowns thrown by Josh Rosen, dropped. As far as natural arm talent motion, I don't see too many better motions than Josh Rosen. He can really throw that ball, especially if he has a clean pocket. I've seen it. Yes, he delivered a little bit late on some occasions. That could be coached, and that also could be a difference of him trying to learn that new system where he's had some things where he wasn't able to identify the Mike linebacker. He wasn't able to do certain things that you really need. But understand, he just turned 23 years old. So when you look at it in that aspect, he's younger than Joe Burrow. So to give up on somebody that was drafted 10th in the draft 2 years ago, I would not say let's give up on this guy, especially when this regime just traded a second-round pick for him last year. I am not opposed to them actually skipping quarterback and just building that team. If they skip quarterback this year and give Josh Rosen a full year to really try to fight and take that job, and they surround him with two top-end tackles, a wide receiver, running back. And with that defense, it's going to keep the score a little bit lower as well. I feel like he could turn the corner, at least give the kid a shot. And then next year's quarterback class is pretty good. It really is. I mean, when you look at it like that, obviously you have Trevor Lawrence, who reminds me a little bit of like an Andrew Luck, a little bit bigger. And then you have Justin Fields, and then a little known guy right now, but by the time the draft comes up next year, from North Dakota State, is Trey Lance. Fantastic. I mean, combined rushing and throwing touchdowns. I mean, I think he had 42 touchdowns and 0 interceptions last year. That's the same college Carson Wentz came out of. There's some options out there if Josh Rosen doesn't take it, but at least we built the team around where we can trade more draft capital next year to get the quarterback. At least we have the team in place. Not to mention we will have more salary cap available to us next year as well. Other than that, I already talked about the Houston draft picks could be a lot higher than what people think. So there's definitely different things going into team needs, going into the actual draft itself. Obviously, I'm going to say quarterback because we need to answer there. Um, but like I said, I would understand if they skipped it this year. But I also would fully get it if they went Tua or anybody. I just know one thing about from what I've seen is they do their due diligence. They were they were the most prepared team going into free agency. Something about Brian Flores is his attention to detail. He goes over every last thing in that building. So that's another reason why I feel like Josh Rosen's not completely done either, because he also helped pull the trigger on that second round pick. So, and that's where that is. So obviously you need a quarterback, definitely a running back. To me personally, two tackles, a wide receiver, a nose tackle, a safety, and then at the end, possible edge rusher. So, I mean, if you look at that, that's about 8 positions where they really need to. It would be nice if they can fill them during this draft. They have 14 draft picks. I do feel like if they don't trade up at some point in the earlier rounds, towards the later rounds, when they feel like those second round grade guys start dropping to the third, fourth round, they'll have the ammunition to go up and get those players, and really have a fantastic draft. But yeah, I mean, guys, that's it. That's it for me. I appreciate the time. Make sure you hit like and subscribe, please. This is my first video. I'll be posting another video after the draft as well. I'm looking forward to seeing what Chris Greer and Brian Flores has in store. They have a lot of different options. We'll see for sure. But thanks for the time, and let's see what they do. Go Fins.